Hi, and welcome to the Self-Care While Grieving course. My name is Kelly Daugherty. I'm the owner for Center for Informed Grief, and I'm also the author of The Grief Experience, Tools for Acceptance, Resilience, and Connection. Grief is a very difficult thing that we all go throughout our life. Grief is a normal, natural response to loss. And that loss can be from a variety of things. It can be due to the death of a loved one. It can be from a divorce. It can be from somebody moving away, a change in relationships, change in friendships, and a variety of other kinds of losses. And when we're grieving, it can be really hard. And self-care is extremely important. Grief can make you feel exhausted physically and mentally. You may have grief brain where your brain just does not function like you want it to, where you have difficulty concentrating and focusing. Sometimes you feel like you're losing your mind. These are all very normal grief symptoms. There are things that can do to help. Taking care of yourself and engaging in different things for self-care can be extremely beneficial. So in this course, we're going to cover a variety of different topics that may help you with your grief. I want you to try them all out, see what you think. Some you may be like, that doesn't work for me. And others you may think that are great. And that's amazing. There's going to be a workbook that accompanies this course. So follow along with the workbook. In that workbook, there's going to be journal prompts. There's going to be goals that you can set for yourself. And there's going to be a self-care plan at the beginning of it. I would also encourage you to use the Grief Experience book. That book has a wealth of different tools that may help you. So start at chapter 1 and go through and read the 25 author stories and their tools and fill in that self-care plan. Maybe you're going to find something in that book that you may have not ever thought of, and you can add that to your self-care plan. So the first thing I want you to do with your workbook is to start that self-care plan. Think about it. What tools do you already use that help you on your grief journey? What are things that you've used in the past for maybe other grief experiences or other difficult times in your life? Maybe add those. So start with that self-care plan. And then as you go through the rest of the workbook, you may add to that self-care plan along with the tools that you may learn in the Grief Experience book. So I'm glad that you're part of this. I look forward to sharing the tools that I find are beneficial for me and so many of my clients. And I hope that if you have any questions, you'll feel free to reach out to me and we can discuss further. So just to share a little bit about myself. As I said, I'm the owner of Center for Informed Grief. I'm also a clinical social worker and I have a private practice in upstate New York, where I specialize in working with children and adults experiencing grief and loss, especially due to bereavement. I'm a fellow in Thanatology, and what that means is it's the study of death, dying, and bereavement. I've committed my career to working with and helping and to support grieving individuals. When I was 14 years old, my mom died from breast cancer. This event changed my life and truly altered my course for the rest of my life. And the reason I'm speaking to you today, and the reason I'm part of the Grief Experience book. After my mom died, I was really struggling. I felt very alone in my grief. My family didn't really talk about our grief. And I just missed my mom so much. My dad saw that how much I was struggling and encouraged me to join a hospice grief support group. Of course, I didn't want to go. I was at that point 15 years old, and I really didn't want to go to a grief group with other people I didn't know. But I walked into that room and realized I wasn't alone. I connected with the other teens who had also experienced a parent loss. And I felt like I wasn't alone for the first time in my grief. That group changed my life. And following that group, and after doing some of my own grief work, I started volunteering with the children's program at that local hospice. I volunteered with the groups and their camp. And then I decided to go to college and get my master's in social work. So over the course of the past 20 years, I've worked in a variety of mental health agencies and settings, worked at a couple of different hospices, and I've been in private practice for almost 7 years now, where I primarily focus on grief and loss. It is truly my passion. It is what fills me up, and I am truly dedicated to helping people on their grief experience. So I want to thank you for being here. I'm sorry that you have to be part of this club of grievers. It does stink, and I wish you didn't have to be, but I'm glad that you are. And I hope that the tools that I'm going to teach over the next 10 modules will be beneficial. So stay tuned for Module 1, where I'm going to talk a little more about grief psychoeducation. Because the reality is most of us aren't grief informed. Our society doesn't do a great job about teaching individuals about grief and loss in schools. So we're going to share a little information about that, and then we'll start going into the specific tools. We're going to go over things like EFT or tapping. We're going to talk about meditation. I'm going to offer multiple meditations. We're going to do mindfulness. We're going to talk about, physical self-care using movement. So stay tuned for more. And again, if you have any questions along the way, feel free to email me at kelly@centerforinformedgrief.com. Thank you.